If we're looking to find roots from a quadratic equation, we're going to know this is quadratic because it'll have an x squared in it and not a y squared. The first thing we're going to do is, first of all, check if it factors. If it factors, it'll end up looking something like this second example here. But number one, we're not sure if it factors yet. And the best way to check it is to think about the form y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. And when we're solving, we substitute 0 in for y. It's the same thing. And because we're checking where the roots are, which is where the zeros are. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our a and multiply it by our c, and we're going to see if it has any factors that'll add up to b. So let's try it. In this case, a is 1 because there's no number there. C is negative 25. So what we're going to do is 1 times negative 25, which is negative 25. And we're going to see if it has any factors, two numbers that can multiply together to make negative 25 but add to negative 2. Now 25 is one of those unique numbers that it's just really 1 times 25 and 5 times 5. And those are really the only options. And if I make them any combination of positives and negatives, we're not going to end up with negative 2. So this does not factor. And I'm going to write that. So we're going to end up using the quadratic formula. The quadratic formula is given to you at the top of the page. And we just have to identify what a, b, and c are. So let's write those down. A was 1. B is negative 2. And we got to be really precise with our numbers, because if we mess up our negatives, we're not going to get the right answer. C is negative 25. So let's start plugging things into this equation right here. So x equals negative b. So that's the opposite of b. It's negative 2. Positive 2 plus or minus square root b squared. So that's negative 2 squared minus 4 times a times negative 25, which is our c. And the whole thing goes over 2 times a, which is 2 times 1. Now, a couple things to note. First of all, any number to the second power, any number that you know at this point, will end up being positive, because a positive times a positive is a negative. Positive times a positive is a positive. Negative times a negative is a positive also. So we're going to have 2 plus or minus the square root of negative 2 squared is 4. Now, if you type negative 2 to the second power in your calculator, it'll give you negative 4. And the reason why is that you probably didn't put parentheses around the negative 2. If you want to put it in your calculator, great, but make sure that you put parentheses around it so the calculator knows to square the whole thing, including the negative. Then we've got negative 4 times 1 times negative 25. This is going to end up being a positive 100. And the whole thing goes over 2. So let's keep simplifying. Plus or minus the square root of 104 over 2. Let's check if this will simplify. And I think you guys learned simplest radical form in your class. So if we wanted to simplify 104, we're going to break that down, maybe 52 times 2, 26 times 2, 13 times 2. So it's 13 times 2 times 2 times another 2. Well, anytime we have two of the same number, that is a square root. It's a perfect square, so this right here would be a 2 that goes on the outside, and then we leave the 26 there. So we'd be left with 2 plus or minus 2 square root of 26 over 2, and each one of the three terms that are there has a 2 in it, which means that they will all cancel each other out, leaving us with 1 plus or minus square root of 26, and that's it. That's actually two answers, because plus or minus it really is plus and minus. Now, using the quadratic formula takes a little more time. Don't rush it, because if you skip steps, you might make mistakes with your positives and negatives, and it's really not that hard. It just requires you to really pay attention. So give it a try. Best of luck.